Hello and welcome back to the A to Z of Football podcast. You with Alex and Zach. I'm Alex the A. You with Zach the.
Z.
That's better. We're growing. We're growing as a duo, as a strike partnership, as a dynamic.
And the main thing is, despite the fact lockdown is easing and the world is slowly opening back up, the views are going very well and the podcast carries on growing and we'll be here the whole time. We're not going anywhere.
Damn straight we're not. Damn straight. We're football fans and we've got things to say. And we're going to say them, whether you like it or not. And I'm pointing at you, whoever's watching this right now. Anyway, sorry.
Right.
Just quickly before we get in, obviously, addressing Corona and protests and stuff. Obviously, the world is a very scary place at the moment. It's taking rapid turns left, right, and centre. So obviously, we're bringing you this just to take your mind away from everything at the moment. So hopefully you can enjoy that and appreciate that. But so on a more positive note, Zachary, what are the 3 topics we're going to be talking about today?
Well, Alex, as always, we've got 3 really interesting topics to talk about.
As always,
some things that are very current, and some things that will be happening in the future of football. So today we're going to talk about the return of the Premier League. It is coming back to our screens. 17th of June is the confirmed date. Teams are back to training fully. All the teams are fit. We're going to see what that could potentially look like. Who's going to come out the gates the strongest, so on and so forth. We're going to have a good chat about that. We're also going to have a long discussion about the Qatar World Cup set to be held in 2022 and what that could mean. We're going to look at the sort of things that are going on there. So what will the human rights issues be like? Facts going to be held in winter. Will that impact the Premier League season? We've seen from coronavirus how that's had a massive impact on sort of ending seasons and things like this in terms of fitness and timings. We're also going to talk about, is Qatar really a footballing nation? Should it really be held there? All that sort of stuff. And finally, to finish off, we're going to discuss our best signing of player this season so far. And I've got 3 names written down for myself. Alex, give you his.
I've got a few. Yeah,
got a few to talk about. So, Alex, let's start off with the Premier League. It's coming back.
It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Look, honestly, I'm so excited. I really am, because, as I previously mentioned, look, 2020 has not been a fantastic year for many people. I think we can all agree on that. Obviously, what else we're going to talk about with the Premier League is the insane sort of fixture schedule that they're planning. I cannot begin to fathom what that's going to be like. But all I know is I'm excited for it. Look, we waited. When was the last Premier League game? I think I want to say early March. I think 7th of March, 8th of March. So,
I think wasn't it like a Champions League game? Wasn't it like Atletico Liverpool or something?
Maybe, yeah. So the last time we saw an English team play, I think it was 7th, around early March. So we've won 3 months. We've waited 3 and a bit, 3.5 months by the time he comes back, maybe. That is think what would we have for a summer? This has basically been a summer without football, but the season's not finished. It's been such this bizarre it's just, you can't think you couldn't begin to fathom if someone said to you at the start of the season, oh yeah, the Premier League will have to go on a break for safety reasons for 3-4 months. You don't, what are you talking about? Obviously that's not going to happen, but it's happened. Look, it's very exciting. Look, I mean, we're both fans of Premier League teams, Burnley and Tottenham respectively, and there's every football fan has missed it, haven't they? Every Saturday.
For sure.
Obviously, there's the Bundesliga's come back, so you get a little bit of enjoyment there, but it's not the same. You want to watch your own team, and
I mean, the Bundesliga has been a huge help. I think it's the most committed to German football I've ever been. I feel fully invested in it now. Well, until the 17th of June anyway. Then I'll straight.
And then
to Premier League. obviously everyone's had all the injuries that were there sort of March time, all the players that were away have all come back. All players are fit and ready.
Yeah.
How do you think, with that being said, who's the team to look out for?
You know what? And I mean, you'll enjoy this. You can't look past Spurs, and you like that's not just me being, like a cool co-host or whatever. It is just, it's true. Look, you're going to get Son back,
Mm.
like world class player on his day. You're getting Kane back, world class player on his day. Who else is coming? Bergwijn was out with
Yeah,
injury.
yeah.
Bergwijn was out with
Bergwijn's
injury.
come back. Sissoko's come back.
Sissoko, of course.
Flores is back. Yeah, it's
Look, like once Spurs have got like a full 11, like they're a force to be reckoned with. And I know this season has got like they haven't kicked on from the Champions League final to all you guys. Like it's just been a bit of a car crash, really. But
for sure.
top four, as far away as it seems for the top, from sort of like fifth, sixth to ninth, it's there. Like it is there for taking. Like if
Yeah.
and I think Spurs are in a really, really good shout. I'm not sure how. I'm really interested to see how different Premier League teams are going to cope with the lack of fans. Like there's no fans. I'll be interested to see. And in fact, actually, I'm going to turn this question back to you. Do you think the likes of Sheffield United, of Wolves, of let's say of like Manchester United, look, every club needs a really good home atmosphere. Do you think these type of clubs will struggle when they come back, or do you not think it'll be that much of a hindrance?
I think for a team like Wolves, it might be okay because they got quite competent and strong players in themselves. I think for a team like Sheffield United, I don't think they're going to get the European dream they want to simply because they don't have the fans backing them up. Sheffield United aren't a strong team in comparison to Spurs, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. So that the only reason they kept going was that team and fan spirit. And I think if you're doing it in neutral grounds, if you're doing it with no crowds, I think they will struggle with that atmosphere for sure.
I do as well, and like secretly, like Jack Meehan, you might be listening. Me and a good friend have a £50 bet that Burnley would finish above Sheffield United, and obviously that's not going very well on my side of things at the moment. So I'm really hoping that the lack of atmosphere at Bramall Lane fails, and somehow the lack of atmosphere at Turf Moor doesn't.
I think that's why a lot of lower team supporters and stuff are worried about the Premier League coming back because a relegation battle is about spirit. It's about the backing of your fans. It's about pushing forward to get over the line, get 17th place if you can. And I think if they don't have that, they're it's all down to the quality of football. This ending of the season will all be because of the quality of football. It won't because of fans. It won't be because of the medics or anything like that. It will all be because how well does your team actually play football? And that's why Liverpool will come back amazing. That's why Manchester City will come back amazing. Tottenham should come back quite strong as well. And I think, I'm really looking forward to seeing the fight to finish Premier League start because there's not many occasions in a normal season when literally every single player that is in the Premier League is fit and ready to go.
Pretty much, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Like I saw the other day, Brooks for Bournemouth. He's a key player for them before he got injured. And fantastic. I really rate Brooks. He's back now. Like I mean, the season would have been over pretty. Yeah, the season was over by now. Had obviously the whole pandemic happened. But he's back. So he's back for the last 9 games. And how crucial could that be for a team like Bournemouth having a key player back on your side? It is true. On the I was just thinking actually, I think there will be teams that will actually benefit from the lack of fans. I think Arsenal will definitely be one because you know how the Emirates can get. Like it's not
for sure.
They're known for sort of getting on the players' backs. I think the lack of pressure will definitely will be actually a positive factor for them, as well as West Ham. Like everyone knows how much their fans dislike the stadium and the history they've had in the Olympic Stadium. And maybe I'm throwing it back to a Tottenham fan. obviously your new stadium, it's arguably one of the best stadiums in,
Yeah,
in European football.
yeah.
But obviously the season hasn't kicked off as you would have liked. Do you think,
Mm.
from a Spurs point of view, it's going to be an issue, or do you actually think? Because I actually think it might help you guys that the fact there's no fans in.
I think Spurs fans are quite good at sort of. I mean, our away record this season's been decent. It's not been great, but there's nothing, not been anything that wrong with it. We have struggled more at home, and
Yeah,
I worry that it's going to come sort of an Emirates situation that Arsenal had, that they sort of left Highbury and they never really kicked back off again.
mm.
Um, Although our stadium is beautiful, I think we'll do okay without the fans as well, but we'd probably do better with the fans. But I don't think that's an issue for a team like Tottenham. I think it'll be an issue for, like I say, for the lowest sides in
The
the table.
Sheffield United. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
your
I
Newcastle
agree.
as well. Look at
Oh, of
Newcastle.
course. Yeah,
You know,
Newcastle, Norwich,
St
like
James
Norwich trying to
Park,
survive
when that's packed, there's no other fan like a Newcastle fan,
for
and
sure,
not
for sure.
not being able to do that. It will be interesting to see. I'm excited to see how it will play out, because it will.
Aston Villa as well. Like, think
Yeah,
of that. Like,
sure.
Villa Park, like they pride
Mm,
themselves on making it really hostile and making the away team feel so small. Without that, and obviously in the situation they're in,
mhm.
who knows what's going to happen with them? Who
Yeah,
knows?
this is it. It'll be great to see 17th of June. And another great thing about the Premier League returning, Alex, is
Yes.
I think I've got the number right. 27 games will be free to air on our
Oh,
telly for all people. How do we feel about that?
it's weird because like it's I think it's a brilliant decision, like, because I think there were suggestions of making all games free to air, which I didn't quite
Mm,
agree with, because obviously people need to factor in the amount of money that the clubs get from TV licenses and etc. etc.
mm,
But having a nice amount of games and some really good games, I know there's the Merseyside Derby being free to air, and a few other big games in there as well. It's brilliant because it's a really good move, because think that we're under lockdown, and if every game was just free to air on sorry, not free to air, if every game was just on Sky or BT, continued as it was, people would just be going around and watching it at other people's houses, breaking social distancing rules and stuff. And I know this is a broader picture, and this is maybe speaking about a certain number of people, but it will happen. And the fact that people can now not have to worry about paying money for some games, and not having to worry,
mm.
just sitting down and turning on the telly and it's there, and
Absolutely.
I think it will be, it's a really positive message to spread. It's that it's not,
Yeah,
again, like we talked about this, like, and it's almost not an elitist thing, the Premier League,
that's
and
it.
try, like,
That's it.
spreading that message.
And and it was, you and I have talked quite a lot on this podcast as we've gone on about the impact football has on people's lives, and sort of
Exactly.
the togetherness that it brings. And there is an element of elitism with it. With if you can only watch Premier League football if you've got Sky or BT Sport, and
Of course.
these aren't cheap things, but it's been gone out of our lives and we've all missed it. And the fact that they're bringing it back, yes, not every game will be free to air, but it's just that little taste of the things that we've missed, and to bring the communities back together again.
Yeah, I think
And
it's fantastic.
it's a good move. I understand it's business and stuff, which is why not all games are free.
And I think that's an important distinction, isn't it? You can't,
Yeah,
because if they did come back, and like some people say, oh, every game should be free, like, because, but then the whole sort of how to say it, system of the next season and the seasons
mm,
following
mm,
would then be distorted from
yeah.
that, and the expectations would
People would want it, wouldn't
flutter.
they? They'd want it all the
Exactly,
time. Yeah.
expectations would flutter now, and I don't think people quite realise that how important the
Mm,
TV money is for Premier League clubs. Like, it's a massive, massive part of their income. So
hmm. Yeah.
making something free is a fantastic idea, but also keeping the majority, or like 2/3, I think it is, uh, just as per, and then
Hmm.
having some free to play games. I think it's going to work very well.
So
sure.
I think the first game is Sheffield United versus Aston Villa. Is that right?
I think Sheffield United, Aston Villa, and then Man City, Arsenal are there. Because they're, I think, what they're doing is those two games are the so those four teams, sorry, are the teams that all have a game in hand,
Mm.
and then they're once that's done, then they can once they're out of the way, then they can start on the whole,
Yeah.
set of fixtures. But this is what is so interesting and so exciting about it
Mm.
is the fixture list they're putting out. So there's, if I'm not mistaken, they're saying there's going to be at least a game every day, and at least
Okay.
one game every day, and on Saturdays, and I think they're offering a 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8 kickoff. I think,
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a
and
bit more staggered then. That's nice. That's good.
it's yeah, I know, and it's so weird, but I think
Mm.
they have to for TV rights, and the fact that
Mm.
they're
Yeah.
branding this as every game is there to be watched,
Mm.
whether that be free to air on Sky or BT or whatever.
Mm.
Do you think that's like? Do you think that the players will respect and enjoy that change, or do you think the sort of, because obviously they have to play them in a certain time, but teams are going to be in a really weird scenario where they're going to be playing on a Sunday, a Thursday, Mondays,
Mm.
Tuesdays, and not having a
Yeah.
routine. Do you think that could affect them in any way, or do you think like it actually
Um.
overlooking might be that much of a problem?
It's not so much that routine issue that interests me. It's actually the fact that if these games are all happening at different times, a system which I actually think is quite a good one, gets it done quickly, gives a lot of people football enjoyment throughout the day.
Yeah,
Pick and choose, gets it done quickly. People at their full fitness. I'm with that fully. The routine thing is not the thing that interests me. The thing that interests me is the fact that we're very used to it being 3 o'clock kickoff, 7 games all happening at the same time.
hmm
Now, Arsenal could play, I don't know, West Ham, and Tottenham could be watching that game because their kickoff's later. Then they know then they have reason to be like, right, because Arsenal won, we have to go out there and win
very
this.
good point.
They're not on the same playing field anymore where they just have to concentrate on their game. They'll be concentrating on different games, trying to figure out, right, we have to at least get a draw, blah 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 blah. And yeah, that's quite exciting.
Very
That
good
will be
point. That is a very good point because all of a sudden, in an afternoon,
mm,
players are watching a game and playing possibly 2 hours later, and right, well now our whole plan suddenly changes. Like if you say Champions League basis, someone gets a draw when they'd assume they'd win, then there's suddenly the whole mindset changes as you're watching all these
I
games go
think it
through.
will be really good for the competitive nature of this Premier
I
League
agree.
comeback.
Hmm
I think Premier League football is going to be really feisty through June and July. It's going to be really feisty because people
Yeah,
are fighting for everything.
and I think the Bundesliga's proved that's not something to be
Mm.
that can happen. Look, they all these games that have been, well, most of the games have been played with really good intensity. You can tell all the players really want it, but at the same time they've kept all these social distance measures off the pitch,
Mm.
and I think the Premier League will obviously follow that to a T, and maybe add some a few tweaks in here and there, but overall it'll be the same. It'll be the same setup, and I think so far they've handled it. They've handled it really well, and as we're both incredibly excited. Only what
Incredibly.
14 more days now.
Two
14
more
more days.
weeks. 2 more weeks.
Oh,
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. And then I can watch Big James Tarkowski smash it up the field for Ashley Barnes to get his head on it. Oh, it's a beautiful sight. You talk about Messi dancing around players. You should watch Tarkowski getting a big old header out from the corner.
It's what
It's
you've been
unbelievable.
dreaming about for
Oh,
11 weeks now, Alex, isn't it?
oh,
Yeah.
so I can't. I'm just
Okay.
gonna go to days.
There we
Right,
go.
there we go. Premier League talk.
That's our
Tick.
little giddy review on it. 17th of June, Premier League football is back in our lives. Moving on from there, let's talk a little bit about the future and sort of
The future
what
of the World Cup.
the future of the World Cup. Next World Cup is set to be Qatar
Mm.
2022. A very controversial one. This one. Uh, never really been accepted by the people, really, that Qatar has got this. So, Alex, why don't you kick us off sort of with why it's been controversial? Why is it sort of the way
Well,
it's?
look, I mean, there's so many different factors with Qatar that making people question how and why and how it got there in the first place. And obviously now it has got there. Will they be able to put on a good fair show? Look, I think number one is some of their beliefs, traditions. Look, like their I don't know, careful how you word this, but traditionally against LGBT rights
Mm-hmm.
and so cool to have women suppressed, etc., and not having equal rights in that regard.
Yeah.
The workers, I mean, we'll get into a little bit later, but the Gary Neville documentary that I've just had a quick rewatch of, the conditions in which the workers are being treated, the migrants are being treated in order to provide for their families and stuff is shocking. The point of alcohol, I mean, they're not a because it's obviously a Muslim country that they don't drink. The only place they serve alcohol at the moment is in 5-star hotels, and they're charged at about 15 quid for a bottle. So that's obviously like alcohol is whether you like it or not, it's a huge part of any sporting social event. You can't get away from that, unfortunately. So having listed off all these things, you start to wonder how it ever got there in the first place. And obviously another reason is that Qatar aren't a footballing nation. Like obviously they enjoy football over there. No history, no real connections with the sport over the length period of time. So it begs a question. First off, that I'm interested to know because I say, look, the lack of history. How can a country with a lack of history get a World Cup? But is that a fair statement to make? Because obviously the love or the connection that people have in a country will have to build from somewhere. But is a World Cup the right place and time to do it? Just
so. For me, it's quite clear that the main reason this is happening in Qatar is a money issue. The reason they've gone sort of Qatar's big country, lots of they own big businesses all around the world.
Big
That's where
in terms of money. I think that's the one, isn't it?
Big in terms of money,
huge, like
and
the amount of oil. Oh.
It's sort of the growth of westernization to sort of like push these ideals while gaining the oil money, if I use that term loosely, with it. And that's why FIFA have set it up to be Qatar, and that's why it's happening. This is all about business. And that's what concerns me, because I'm all for the business, but football has a soul, it has a spirit, and the World Cup is where that spirit really comes to life. And I don't want it to be tarnished because business overtakes that spirit, which is why this World Cup in Qatar is so controversial, because it is a risk of doing that. You talked about the alcohol, you talked about the sort of beliefs they have in Qatar as a Muslim country, and they could really conflict. You English fans, very liberal fans. Most European fans, very, very liberal fans. Alcohol, drugs, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. We're very quite liberal in that sense. So when that's introduced with something which is really conservative to that, it's bad mix, and I worry how the mixture of countries in that country will be taken, and I just don't want any violence. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
I think
We've seen the sort of impact inequality in human rights has had over the past sort of week or so with Black Lives Matter, and it's an awful thing that's happening in this world, and for football to get caught up in it again, because football's such a big racist stigma attached to it as well, it would be really, really tough.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Look, like it's. I mean, look. If, all I compare this to is Russia. The amount of I mean, I don't want to say hate because that's a really strong word, but the the discontent with Russia hosting the World Cup, like this is some of their issues tenfold. Their belief, Russia's traditionally doesn't support LGBT rights. This is that tenfold because it's obviously to do with religion, and I think the problem is that it's violence is unfortunately it does follow football with a very small minority of fans, but a very small minority of fans is all it takes for something to blow up. And I think with the belief system so strong as it is in Qatar, is that I think it's just presenting a real danger for something awful to happen or to be said.
I want to be clear for the listeners. Alex and I are in no way sort of discriminating the belief systems they have in
No,
Qatar.
of course not. Of course
we
not.
are simply concerned due to the quite difference in opinions around the world, that when brought together, there's normally a clash, and we don't want football to be the reasoning for that clash, which is why we're just raising these concerns in this conversation now. And obviously, we're not going to perhaps find a way around it, but
of course,
it's really interesting to have these conversations. With that, you know, there's been a lot of reports on the poor treatment of workers in this sort of building of the stadiums and the setting up of the World Cup. Again, you know, does that tarnish this World Cup's legacy? Because obviously it's going to Qatar, opening up the East to football and football life. With that, are fans going to be a bit more tarnished by all this that's going on?
Well, look. So as I said, I just today rewatched the documentary that Gary Neville did, and there's been three. Well, it's a very murky figure. It could be 3 work-related deaths up to about 26 so far, and then some projections say by the time the World Cup is finished, there'll be almost 4,000. But obviously, some people, the World Cup is saying that there's going to be no more, etc., etc. It's very murky water. But the fact that even needs to be discussed is quite frankly appalling. Like it makes me feel sick. Like workers are working through the summer, through a Qatar summer, to get these stadiums done. Building stadiums from scratch, the amount of people that are there, for example, and working in 40-degree heat to get these stadiums done. Like, it's just, it was really like sad to watch, and the living conditions they're in. I'm afraid that it will. I think as a fan, if I was going over there, all I'd be able to think about, these stadiums. I'm sure they'll look fantastic and brilliant by the time they're finished. But what sacrifice? And the sacrifice of workers, of immigrants coming over, working really, really hard, and then getting very, very. I think someone said they get $250 a month. So one of the Ghanaian workers there. Another person I haven't seen is his children in 3 years, and if they quit the job there, they can't get another job in Qatar. They'd have to go back to their original country that they immigrated from. So for me, just watch. It might change. I really hope they do improve it, and that they show evidence of that. But it makes you think these stadiums, they're beautiful, but they're hosting. This is all for, if you boil it down, a month of football, a festival of football for 1 month. Is it really worth all this? All this disgusting treatment that all these workers are getting just for a month of football that they have to build from scratch? I'm just not sure it is. And go on.
I think that's the problem that we're sort of trying to raise here is, football's all about bringing countries together. It's about bringing people together of all shapes and backgrounds, and
exactly
to for that to be sort of exposed and exploited just for the building of, what will be a really big payday for Qatar to host the World Cup. Yeah, I don't think anyone can go into that World Cup with a clear conscience about it, and that's why I think, the inquiries need to be made, these checks need to be made so people can go into that World Cup knowing that actually people haven't been exploited just for a money day from it, because that's not what the World Cup was ever for. The World Cup was about bringing nations together, competing. Who's got the best football team in the world? Fans shout, singing a national anthem with that, with their heart, and I don't want that to be spat over just because FIFA wanted to pay out or get lots of money in, and that's where the problem in this World Cup lies. And I don't have an answer for it, but they need to find some resolving of the situation, because
Yeah.
otherwise, we will get to 2022 and we'll go to this World Cup, and everyone in the back of their head will know what's been going on, and I don't think I could support it easily either.
I think
Final,
it's a got no. Yeah, go on.
sorry,
I was just going to add something.
I was going to just move on to the final point about this discussion. Quite a tough one, not really one that has obvious answer to it. But they're going to hold it in the winter. Obviously, Qatar, very, very hot summer. It seems unlikely they'll be able to hold it during that period. So they'll be holding it in the winter. Do you think that will ruin the vibe of a World Cup, as we're so used to it being held in the summer months? And do you think it could actually impact the Premier League season or the cup matches, for example, in terms of players not being fit enough because of World Cup fatigue and the sort of timing of everything? Well, do you think it could have a bad impact in that sense?
I actually think that if Qatar, as Qatar are going to host the World Cup, I think actually having it in the winter is a very good move, because from what I've heard, they had an interview with Wesley Schneider, who said actually in the winter time it's lovely. It's sort of 25, 30 degrees, what it has been in England for the past few days. So actually that's quite a good temperature. If they did have it in the summer, it'll be 40, 45 degrees, and that's so hot, and that'll be almost unplayable. So I think in that respect, I actually think it's a good thing that they're going to have it in winter. I actually also think it will be a good, well, hopefully a positive that fans can. You're right. Like traditionally, there might not be as much excitement as a season finishes and then it comes to the main football event. But I actually think possibly it could be positive, because winter obviously is. I mean, we're speaking in a much broader sense. It's traditionally very dreary. There's it's dark days, and stuff. And I think having a festival of football actually could improve it. It could improve sort of the winter months, and watching from afar is only a 2-3 hour difference.
Maybe one recommendation you could have is sort of start the Premier League August time. That plays out until beginning of October. We then go on an international break to take the World Cup through to sort of end of November, start of December. Christmas break then happens then anyway. They have a Christmas break. They come back New Year, play out the Premier League sort of a bit more spread out. So maybe go into June instead of May. And then get that done. Then that gives them another sort of 2 months to recover again for a Premier League starting. Do you think that would be a fairer way, perhaps?
I think if there's going to be a way that they're going to be able to go around this, and that is ultimately going to have to be they have to do it in really two defined blocks and enough breaks in between them, so players don't get discontorted with international due to a crossover. Basically, they need to make it a really long good gap for friendlies to commence and players to get into their international teams. then have a prolonged break after the World Cup, after hopefully during the Christmas time, as you say, and then come back in the new year as sort of a fresh start. I think we have to remember the players playing in these international tournaments, they're professional footballers, and part of that is adapting to whatever's thrown at you. I mean, this is going to have to obviously be a huge adaptation to a season finishing in the middle and then having a completely different type of football and then moving back to club football. Obviously, that's going to be hard, but I think if Qatar's going to do it in winter, which I think they are. I think that's almost confirmed now. Then I think they have to deal with it, and I think it will be the best of a bad situation, from my opinion.
Yeah.
Same opinion.
I'm on the same page with you there.
Yeah.
I think it may be actually something people look forward to, and I think that sort of it breaks up the season a bit nicer in a sense because we have that international tournament to look forward to while the Premier League season is still going on. So even after normally the World Cup finishes, then there's no football again for a few weeks, a few months, but until the Premier League starts again. But now we can have a World Cup and then go straight back into Premier League again, and that will keep people really invested and really interested to see how the Premier League would actually turn out that season as well, because the World Cup could play an impact into who wins it and what teams do well. In terms of teams doing well, Alex, there has been a few key players this season that have been joining the Premier League. So let's move on and discuss some of our best signings so far this season.
Actually, sorry. Just quickly, I do want to quickly say there will definitely be some big positives about Qatar. The transport, for one, that you can get to. They've got a tram system that's from the first stadium to the last 40 minutes max. Like, imagine that. Like Russia, so they've got 40 minutes, and then there's loads of really nice squares with lots of atmosphere and lots of dancing. The stadiums will be air conditioned and amazing. I think there will be positives out of it. Just to quickly finish, because obviously we both said our concerns, which obviously are very apt and very just concerns, but there are some positives which I think could make it possibly a really special event. But obviously that's all to be seen. But yeah, I just wanted to say that quickly before we move on.
I appreciate that, Alex, actually finishing on a positive note for once instead of
there we go.
Dreary about the World Cup.
There we go.
Okay. Talk about some of our best signings, Alex. Why don't you kick us off with one of your names of interest this season?
Right, one of my names of interest, first one, is a young man, a young right back that has gone to one of the traditional biggest clubs in world football, from Crystal Palace to Manchester United. His name is AWB, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think, look, he has potential. Look, I think I should have checked this, but I think he's only 21 or 22 maybe. But from a young man for a big price tag, going from Crystal Palace for 50 million as a young English right back, that's a lot of money for especially for a right back, let alone any player, but especially for a right back. And he seemingly hasn't let anything bothered him. Obviously, Man United as a whole, as high as their expectations are, haven't performed to where they'd want to be. But for him as an individual, I think it's all positive in my books. He's one of the, as I think Jamie Carragher said, he's one of the best one-on-one defenders or fullbacks there is. I think Sterling, he's schooled Sterling, I think 2-3 times already, and he just seems
not
very.
Many players do that, do they? So.
No, exactly. There you go. And no, but seriously, I think for English football, it's great that he's gone to Man United and is succeeding at a club like that, a club with a lot of history. It shows he can handle pressure. He's lived up to the price tag of 50 million. That's over a 5-6 year period in the player he could become. I think that's a fantastic investment for United if you look at it in that way. And he's only going to improve, isn't he? I think obviously he's got a lot of work to do on his attacking side of things, and I think he's only got the 1 assist this season compared to Trent's 8 or 9 or maybe even more. So obviously he's got improvement to do in that sense, but I'm a really big fan of him, and he's done well to
this is
transfer.
the interesting thing. Wan-Bissaka and Trent are in the same position, sort of both youngsters moving forward. I look forward to watching that competition as they fight for a place in the England squad, because I want to know, is Southgate going to start with Trent, or is he going to start with Wan-Bissaka in the future? And I'm really interested to see what that will look like. That fight between.
I have a theory that Trent is going to end up. I don't see this happening with Wan-Bissaka. I have a theory that Trent's going to end up moving into midfield somewhere, because he's such a cultured passer of the ball already that some might say he's already wasted a right back. Obviously, that the thing is, they're two, like, if you mold them together, they're the perfect player, because Trent, you might say his defensive side isn't so good, but his attacking play is unbelievable. And then you got one of the best one-on-one defenders possibly in the world, in world football, but not so much of an attacking intent. So look, so Aaron Wan-Bissaka is most certainly up there for me. What about you?
So first person I go for is Rodri for Manchester City. He came in at the start of the season. Didn't know too much about him when he came in. I thought, it's Manchester City. They normally buy well. So let's see how he gets on. He has been fantastic. I think he's got some of the most passes, I think, out of all the players. He's definitely up there anyway. And Kevin De Bruyne has struggled a lot with injuries this season and things like this. I genuinely think he's done so well in filling that gap. Maybe not as much of an attacking role as De Bruyne normally plays, but helping that midfield through that sort of rough patch that Manchester City went through. He scores goals, he creates opportunities, he creates moments, and honestly, he's been an absolute star out player for Manchester City. Manchester City's full of huge players, big names. But Rodri's come in, he's slipped right into that group with ease. I honestly think he is Manchester City's next Toure if he carries on the way he's been going, and I've been really impressed by him this season.
I agree. Like he's almost the perfect CDM. Like he's got that defensive awareness where you can see he can judge things 2 or 3 passes before they happen and get in the right position. But he's obviously also got a great passing ability, a great shooting. I mean, he scored a flipping worldie against Burnley earlier in the season, and he's top of the joke. Anyway, no, I agree. I think very shrewd business. I mean, he's been one. I mean, Man City, by their standards, once again, have been poor for this season, especially considering the last 2 seasons prior. So he's definitely been a shining light, and if he keeps on performing the way he is, then with some different players around him for Man City, I think definitely title challenges in the years to come again. Hello. Might be having some technical difficulties here. Right, apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. A few slight technical difficulties there, but we can't just finish on a half a sentence, can we? We got to continue grinding on. And what were we on about? We were talking about
Rodri, very impressive. Move on. Next player. Get it done.
Next left me. Okay. I think this will probably be on your list as well, so we can maybe both have a little talk about him. Lo Celso.
Oh, yes, he is on my list.
I thought he would be. Look, Lo Celso again. Like we talk about shining lights in teams that are having bad seasons. Lo Celso
Yeah,
is the epitome of that. Every
absolutely.
time I've watched Tottenham this season, he's at the heart of things. He wants to get the ball. He wants to move play. He wants to. He's always positive. I've never seen him. Well, I'm sure I have, but all the past I see of him, like he's trying to create something. He's trying to lift the team by himself, like single handedly sometimes. And he's look, he's brilliant. And the fact that you've managed to get him on a permanent as well. Obviously, I know he was only a loan at the start of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The fact that he's now a permanent deal, I think you can really start
So,
to build around
and
him.
this is why I'm so excited for return Premier League. Lo Celso completely fit, Sissoko completely fit, Harry Kane and Son creating those attacking chances. I'm over the moon, honestly. And Lo Celso, like you say, he has been the shining light of this Tottenham side this season. He's been
Mm-hmm.
quick on the ball. He's been passing the ball. He's been creating opportunities left, right, and centre, especially when Son was still fit. Those two
Yeah,
combined was amazing to watch. He is the best signing we could have made. I would have liked to have Bruno Fernandes in there as well at the start of this season, but that was unfortunate. But Lo Celso has fitted in lovely with our squad, and he's really exciting player. And he's how old is Lo Celso? He's quite
I
young
think he's
still,
only
so
23 or 24, I believe,
perfect.
around
Yeah,
that age. So yeah,
he's
you're right.
and the
Just coming
great
into
thing
his
is
prime.
Mourinho will be good at molding him into the sort of player that he wants for the Tottenham side going
Totally.
forward. And
You
I
know what?
really
He
think
reminds me of Modric. Sorry to butt in, but
no, no,
he remi-
yeah, no,
the
yeah, I'm
way he
with you on that.
plays
Yeah.
is a Tottenham Modric. Like
Mm,
just gathering the ball,
mhm.
turning, looking forward, playing passes out wide through the middle. Like it's a very sort of clear mold of what Modric used to do at Spurs, and
Mm,
now you've got
yeah.
a player that could create the similar
Let
legacy, which I think is
let's just hope
exciting.
we don't lose him to Real Madrid too quickly.
There we go. Oh, yeah,
Um,
you'll be clinging on
final
to it for dear
final
life.
signing, final best signing for you, Alex, this season.
Oh no, go on. No, no. I've had the last one. You
Oh,
go. You
sorry,
go
yeah.
ahead.
My final one, we both had the Celso, so you might have this guy as well. He came in sort of towards the end of the season so far. Bruno Fernandes, I already mentioned him briefly just then. Manchester United. He came straight into Man U. Man U were struggling. They were honestly crap. Let's be honest. And he
Gotta be
came
honest.
in. He he really made that Man United team exciting, quick, enthusiastic to get on the ball, enthusiastic to score goals, and yeah, I think Man U will come back really strong again with that sort of pace. Bruno Fernandes fits perfectly into that squad, and I'm really excited to see him be able to develop with that Man U squad and what the future holds from there.
Yeah, no.
It's really good.
Ever since he's come in and he started, he's really had an
Hmm.
impact, hasn't he? I wasn't actually. I was actually quite apprehensive about how he do
Okay.
because I think you're coming in from the Portuguese league and coming into the Prem, playing for the biggest team in the Prem, judging by the history, is a big. That's a big. I know they're not doing so well, but it's a big step to take.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was apprehensive about, well, is he really ready for that? Like I know he's a young guy coming over from Portugal, but he's taken it into his stride. And he looks like he's a leader, and he wants to, like similar to the Celso. He looks like he wants to
Mhm.
drive games forward,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you've got to respect that and commend that. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with him. He's a very exciting player, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm worried Man U will become the dominant force they once were,
Yeah,
with him
yeah,
in that
I agree.
squad. Um, and I think the players we talked about just shows the importance to have a core midfield player. They are the players that build your team. Look at Lo Celso, look at Rodri, look at Fernandez. They're
Hmm.
all playing a similar role, and that's why they're my best signings this season so far.
Yeah, I've gone with a bit of a left field one for my last one. It
Okay,
might,
nice.
don't sue me for the whiplash if you're at home and you hear this answer, but
Oh
I
God.
am No, it's not that bad. It's just something that you might not necessarily think of. Look,
Mhm.
I've actually gone for Anan San Maximat as my last one. The
Oh,
Newcastle
okay.
winger. The Newcastle
Interesting.
winger. Look, I think it's quite hard to explain because he's not obviously Newcastle as a club. They haven't done anything great this season. They haven't been awful as some people predicted they would be. But
Mm.
every time I've watched Newcastle at St James this
Yeah.
season, Sam Maximan gets the ball, and everyone just loves it because he either does something stupid or he either does
Mm.
something unbelievable. And he's just I think it's just what Newcastle needed. People were coming into the season saying Newcastle they're going to get relegated. I mean, what's happening with them? Their kit's awful. They've got
Yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Bruce. They're going
I
from
thought they were gone. I thought they were gone
they've
for
got
sure.
their Rafa Benitez. They've got to Steve Bruce. I mean, that's not
Mm.
exactly a
Yeah, it's not an
an,
upgrade for
an
sure.
uplift, is it? No, like you're not. Um, so they're doing that, but just and it looks like they were really lacking any excitement in their season.
Mm.
But Sam Maximan's come in and he's become a sub and he's almost like one of the first names on the team sheet now. I
Mm.
think he's got the second, I believe, in the Premier League of most successful dribbles and take-ons, etc. And like he's just he's something different that Newcastle
Mm.
really needed. And
Yeah.
I know Wolves are now really after him. Like imagine Sam Maximan and Traore in the same team.
I
I
mean,
feel sick.
we
I feel
we've talked
sick
about
thinking about
we've talked about Traore quite a lot for Wolves, and he's
it.
he's
Yeah.
been an absolute machine. He chucked the other player in as well. No, yeah,
Oh,
I worry for that for
I'd,
sure.
I'd, as a Burnley fan up against Eric Peters at left back, I think I'd genuinely have to turn away every time they're running at us. Like, genuinely, I couldn't watch
um,
it. I couldn't watch it.
I like that choice, Alex. It's a little bit different. I generally didn't even see that coming at all.
I
I
know.
didn't even think about it.
I'm sure
But
no one did. I'm sure no one did.
um,
Look,
but yeah,
it's left field. It's left field.
nice
It's
little outsider to finish off there.
There you go.
Like it a lot.
I'm unpredictable. I'm unpredictable. You know, you
That's it.
just gotta take it and run. Take it and run. Look, and as I say, look, it's maybe by stats he hasn't done
Mm.
as good as some. I mean, honourable mentions as well. I just want to like Harry Maguire. I think he's had a very
Yeah.
difficult season, but
Mm.
slowly moulding into a future captain for United. And
Well, he's already
I
done
think,
it a couple of times, hasn't he?
right, yeah, in Europa League, etc. But like, I mean, he's been a mainstay of the
Mm.
United team, and I think I think the weight of 80 million quid on your shoulders would weigh
Mm.
heavily on a guy that's just had a good season at Leicester. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's been a very
But he's done well with
different,
it
but
for sure.
he has done well. He's done well, and
Yeah.
so he was sort of he was up there for me. I'm sure there's probably someone else I'm missing that people are screaming at right now. But
It's
if
just
you're
an
listening,
opinion.
let us
It's
know.
fine.
Yeah, exactly. Get off our flipping backs, guys. We're just giving you our opinion. You're watching us, so no,
That's it.
sorry, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be.
All right. There you
Does that
go.
conclude our talk? I think it does. That's a
That
very
does conclude our talk. Had a little bit of technical issues towards the end there, but we powered on through. We've got
we powered
all
on
three
through.
topics done, and I think we've had a good chat there, Alex. That was good fun.
I'm sure our beautiful and majestic editor George can sort out something very
That's
lovely.
it.
Nice little transition, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll leave that to him. But yeah, look, that'll be the end of our chat, guys. Please, again, like, comment, subscribe if you're listening. It helps out a lot, and we shall see you. Not exactly sure the next date, but it'll be closer. Next time we see you guys, it'll be closer to the Premier League start date. So we're all looking
And we
forward to that.
can't wait. We cannot
We
wait for
cannot
it.
wait. Right. I've been Alex the I've been with Zach D.
Zed.
And we shall see you all soon.
Bye bye.